Okay, if you'll start listing, saying everybody's name and just
You mean just who's here?
your own name, and then I'll pan it
My
around.
name is Verlon, Slater. I was married to the oldest son of the
Okay.
Slater family.
And where do you reside?
I live in Centerline, Michigan.
Okay. And you have no problem with this, you understand that this oral history will be part of the USS Slater Museum? Okay, thank you. Okay.
Matt Slater from Wausau, Wisconsin.
And you understand, you have no problems with this
No problem.
oral history being used for the USS Slater Museum?
We have a tour about to come through.
You can't do it, Eric.
I'm from St. Clair Shores, Michigan.
Okay. And you have no problem with this oral history appearing, being used for the USS Slater?
No, I don't.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Mrs. Slater. Can you tell us when and where you were born and describe your childhood? And
I was born in DeKalb County, Alabama.
okay,
So,
it was the height of the Depression, I would guess.
well, I was born in 1914.
Okay. What was your relation to Frank Slater, and did you know him as a child?
Well, he was actually a grown-up young man when I married his brother. He
Okay.
was my brother-in-law.
Okay.
So,
Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences with Frank?
well, he was just a nice person. I mean, he never seen anybody that was a stranger. He was just a real outgoing person. He was really, you know.
And when did you meet him?
Well, I met him before. I don't know.
38?
When did me and J.D. got married in 38, right? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. And I met him the year before, and I'd say he's 37.
Okay. And was he a young man then?
Yeah, well, he was pretty well grown up.
And he was working on the farm, or you mentioned the
On
CC
farm,
camps?
yeah, they were just rent farmers, his parents.
Okay.
They had never. And so after Frank got killed, they guys, get his insurance, and they bought it for him then. And it was at Crossville, Alabama, instead of Fife, Alabama, where they lived when Frank went into service.
Earlier, I thought you mentioned the CCC camps?
Yeah, he was in the CC camps, yeah.
Okay.
And I can't now more tell you anything, what year that was or what, nothing. I don't remember it.
And that's the Civilian Conservation Corps.
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
during the height of the Depression.
Yeah.
Young men got to work at different environmental projects throughout the United States.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Can you relate the circumstances, your recollection of the circumstances surrounding Pearl Harbor?
Well, I mean, I really, we listened to the radio because that's all you had then. And that, but I really don't know anything about Pearl Harbor or whatever.
No, you heard it on the radio.
Heard it on the radio. We listened to the radio all the time. So, because we knew he was there, and so we'd always listen to that. And we was listening to the night that the ship he was on, the San Francisco cruiser,
Yes.
when it was hit.
Okay.
My husband and I heard the jet plane they shot down and fell on the ship, and it happened to fall on his gun station.
Yeah, that happened.
So we didn't know that then.
Right. That happened in 1942, right?
Yeah.
Do you know when Frank joined the Navy? Immediately after Pearl Harbor, or was it a couple weeks later? Or?
It was after that. I'm sure it was after Pearl Harbor. Don't you think so, David?
Yeah, it was pretty quick after.
Yeah, pretty quick after, I think. Because he volunteered, and and when he was at my house. My brother was going into the Army, and he was going to the Navy. They was both at my house to catch the bus, which I lived right where the bus line was. And so they was there. I seen him in the morning, and he was never back home after he left then.
Okay.
Before he got killed. I mean, when he got killed. So He was just in for I think 9 months or something like that when he got there.
So he didn't get an opportunity to come home
Well,
after...
because he was on the West Coast, and you know, back at that time, you don't hop a plane or whatever and go like you do now. So, no, he never was home after he was in the service.
Not after boot camp or
No,
anything?
no.
Do you know where he went to boot camp at?
I really don't. I should know, but
Okay.
I don't remember actually.
For yourself, what were the war years like?
Well, I mean, my husband was farming. He stayed out of service by farming. He was already farming, so he just stayed at it because they wouldn't take farmers unless they had to. You know, if they didn't get their quotas or whatever, they didn't. He never was reclassified from what the class. You know, they classified everybody. That when you get to 1A, well, that's the one they took. But see, he never got to be a 1A. So, because we had one little girl.
I would imagine the radio, listening to the radio news became a...
Yep, that's what we had. And we would always listen.
And did you know that Frank was in the far Pacific?
Yes.
And participating in the battles off of Guadalcanal?
Yep, we know that.
So I'm pretty sure those stories were of quite an interest to you?
Yeah. You see, that when we heard that the San Francisco was hit, right, my husband said to me, "Don't tell Mama." So anyhow, his dad, we told his dad about it, and he went home and told her. You know, because, you know, there's some women, you know, they get upset, they know something's bad happened, and they're going to, and he didn't want Mama to know. My husband didn't want his mother to know.
If my memory serves me correctly, that was the same battle that the Juno was sunk. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that, but it could have been the same one. I'm not sure about that.
How were Frank's parents eventually notified of his death?
With a telegram.
Telegram? There wasn't an Army person who came in a car.
No.
It was a telegram.
He was we was farmers, is what we was, and my husband had killed a hog. They was cooking out the lard, and Dad was there. Frank's dad. I always called him Dad, too.
Yeah.
And he was there, and they delivered the telegram to him there.
Okay. How did the community at large, did they hear about it?
Well, I guess they did, but you know, nobody reacted that much or anything. There was not any, only just a family, you see.
Didn't you mention one time to me about how when they got the telegram, Dad wouldn't read it?
No, Dad, I think Dad, I think he was in my father had a little, we call it a country store. It's just a wide place in the road where there's a post office and a few little stores and things. And my father-in-law was at my dad's store when they delivered him the telegram that Frank was killed.
When did you find out that a ship would be named after Frank?
Lord, when did we find out that? I don't know. I don't even actually remember. Now, what year was it? I don't even know what year. But we went to Florida when it was, when the ship was launched.
Right.
I seen it when it was launched, and I seen it when it was commissioned.
Did the Navy help you get to Florida, or was sort of do the best you can?
Well, I tell you, no, there was a couple of guys that run a little county newspaper. They mostly done as much as they could because they knew my father-in-law real well.
Okay.
And they done that.
And they helped you get to Tampa.
Yeah.
And what was the commissioning like? Was it a small affair? Was it a major affair?
No, it was small. There wasn't nothing that much about it.
In the movies, they always show somebody standing on a platform with a bottle of champagne.
Well, my mother-in-law did Christmas at the sheriff.
Okay.
The champagne. Broke the bottle over on the bow,
Yeah. And no problem, right? She busted it and it broke fine, right?
He was afraid first time.
Yeah.
She was afraid. She was worried about it, afraid she wouldn't do it right, but it did.
Okay. And then you mentioned you went back for the commissioning. How long afterward was that?
I don't even know.
No, we went back for the recommissioning when it came back came back from Greece.
Oh, okay, okay. I'll cover that in a little bit then. Okay, I'm
That
sorry.
was, I don't know, that there wasn't any, really, we went to Florida whenever that, where it was because it was in Florida where it was built and everything. I guess it was built there, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah, and so we was there whenever it was launched. I seen it when there was nothing on the top part up there. You just seen the hull of it. I mean, there was none of the
Right.
all of this on the top.
Yeah, they would launch it and then add the
Yeah,
guns
and
and
then they had
everything.
all that on there.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you get occasion to meet any of the crew who served on the ship?
Well, I guess we met some of them, I'm sure, but I don't remember none of the
Got
names.
Elam.
Well, that's my brother. That's
Yeah.
my brother.
Your Frank's younger brother served on the ship in
Yes,
World War
he
II.
did. He asked at the launching of the Slater. He asked there because he thought he was going into the Navy, so he asked for service on it, and he stayed on it for 2 years.
And do you know what duties he did?
No,
No. Okay.
He was,
I believe he was a gunner's mate.
he was a
Gunner's
mate.
probably was, but I said I really don't know that much about it. Yep. My husband is one of them. My husband, I said I always stuck it on my head because he had one of those, and it was at home in Michigan. But
Okay. Do you have any other stories that you'd like to relate to people?
I can't really remember. I just remember Frank was at our house the one that left. My youngest brother was going into the Army, and Frank was going to the Navy, and they come there, and they was there to catch the bus in this little wide place of the road. It was just a small little community.
And then thereafter you got letters, and that was the primary.
Yes. I always wrote to him every week or something. And his mother, after this, we knew the ship, knew that it had been hit. And she said, "Well, I'm going to still write. I know he's that he's got killed, but if he's not, well, I want him to have the letters when he comes back there." And she kept writing, till the end. And as I said, that the telegram that when he was killed was delivered to my husband at our house, and because his dad lived on the farm, it was further away, but I lived out on where the bus route was.
Now, everybody was present for the recommissioning? No.
No, he wasn't.
No,
So I'll switch over here, and why don't you relate that to us a little bit about when the Slater came back?
well, it was brought back from Greece in 93,
93, yeah.
I think so.
and Destroyer Escort Sailors Association arranged for a recommissioning at the Intrepid Air and Sea Museum in 94. And almost 50 years to the day after the original launching.
Yeah.
And had a lot of the family there, had as many of the original crew there as they could have there.
Frank's younger brother was there, right?
Frank's younger
Yeah.
brother was there.
Yeah.
He was already sick at the time.
Yeah, he died in that right after that, almost just 3 or 4 months after that, because he was there for that. He was sick, but he went.
And really had quite an affair. It was
Yeah, it was really nice.
quite interesting. And, at that time, my dad gave the Slater back Frank's medals, his
Yep, see, they had given
Purple Heart and Navy Cross.
Yeah, he gave them back to them so they put them on the ship.
Okay.
I wonder if they are on it. I guess they are.
No,
No, they're in the museum.
They were, but yeah, they're at a special
Yeah,
show right now.
because my husband wanted he gave them back to them.
Yeah, you have anything to add? This is your 5 minutes on flight.
I don't think he remembers too much about it, actually.
No, this is my 3rd time visiting the ship. My brothers, we all made a road trip to New York City when it was there. It must have been 90s. It was shortly before it came out to Albany. And We drove all the way to New York. It was a heck of a long drive, and we get there and they weren't even open for tours on the ship that day. But there was a whole bunch of old volunteers working on it, so one of them took us around, got to see it quite a bit.
Did you notice a change from each time that you got there?
Well, they were talking about it then, saying it had really progressed far. They've made some big strides, and looking around, thinking, well, it looks pretty rough. And if it's progressed far, it must have been in very bad shape. And then I came out here 2 years ago to see it, and a world of difference from how it looked in New York City.
So you're saying every time you come back, it looks a little better, right?
Well, between when I saw New York City and the first time I saw Albany, it was a huge difference.
Yeah.
And it's still getting better, even from 2 years ago. It's much better.
Okay, I think unless anybody has any other things you'd want to put on camera, I think that pretty much completes the interview, and I want to thank everyone.
Well, all I said is that, of course, we done mention that anyway, Frank's insurance money, my in-laws, they had never owned any property, they just rent farmers.
Yeah.
And they took this money and paid down on the farm.
So they bought their own, owned their own land after
Yeah,
that?
they did,
Okay.
That's Frank's insurance money.
Okay. Thank you very much.